Have you ever hit a goal and told yourself, okay, once I hit this, I know I'm going to feel so much better. And then you get there and you still feel hollow. For instance, the job, the income, that relationship that you've been wanting so badly, that thing that was supposed to make you feel like you made it. And then you get there and it's underwhelming at best. Somehow you're still waking up feeling tired, unfulfilled, probably burnt out, and wondering, what is wrong with me? Let me say this clearly, there is nothing wrong with you. You've just finally realized that success does not heal what you have not faced. In this episode, we're going there. We're going to talk about why so many high performers are stuck in toxic relationships, why they have poor coping habits, self-sabotaging patterns, even when they're winning on paper. The truth is, you cannot outperform your unhealed self. I know, I tried for a long time. No level of success is going to save you from a life that is out of alignment with your soul. Period. This is kind of what kicked me off into this line of work, so let's talk about it. If you are somebody who is feeling like almost like a fraud, like, wow, the outside doesn't match the inside, you're not alone. This episode is for you. You know what time it is. Get comfortable, grab a snack, grab something to drink. It's time to tune in and shift with me. Welcome back to the On Some Real Shift podcast, where I have real conversations on what it takes to shift your mindset and uplevel your emotional and spiritual life. I'm your host, Vanessa. I'm a certified life coach, mindset coach. I do NLP, Reiki, sound bath healing, but most importantly, I am a student of the university. Welcome back, my friends. This is a topic that I can most definitely speak from experience on multiple levels. So I'll be real with you. There have been several times in my life where I have been able to look up and say, wow, on paper, I have achieved so much and I should be so proud of myself. But I had this big emptiness because I still felt like a fraud. And I felt like a fraud because I had an internal world that was just hella chaotic. I've mentioned it before, but I had extremely low self-esteem. I had poor boundaries. I had poor emotional regulation, poor coping skills. I was in a very toxic relationship, but on the outside, I was society calls successful. I could essentially say, I want that job and go and get it. If there was a company that I wanted to work for, I'd work there. If there was a business that I wanted to start, I would start it and it would be successful. If there was a skill I wanted to learn, a project I wanted to undertake, whatever it is, I would do it, do well, and then kind of move on to the next thing. And some of that is my personality. After a while, though, I remember kind of almost feeling numb and feeling fraudulent, feeling like a liar almost, because I would show up to work and show up as this polished professional person, do my job well and whatever. But at home, I was in a toxic relationship with somebody who was treating me so crusty and I was accepting it. Like I said, my self-esteem was through the floor. I was engaging in habits that are extremely low vibrational, right? I was abusing food and alcohol terribly. I had no sense of boundaries. My friendships were not the best. Said it before, but I really did feel very emotionally and spiritually dusty. It's like this person that people saw on the outside was not aligning with what was going on the inside. It got to the point that no matter what accomplishment I reached, no matter what accolade I received, it was never enough. So on top of already having self-worth that suffered, it started to suffer even more because the one thing that kind of was filling that void was no longer satisfying. And for a while I thought, maybe I'm the problem in terms of like, I'm not shooting high enough. And then I had to really get real and realize, no, it's not that. I'm not being ungrateful. I was living a life that looked good, but it really didn't feel good. I was living a life that wasn't built from my truth. And a lot of that is because I didn't know what my truth was. I had no idea who I was beyond my accomplishments, beyond my titles, beyond my accolades. So when it came time to govern my personal life, to have standards, to have boundaries, to understand who Vanessa really is and what her desires and true purposes, I had no idea who and what those things were. It's not just me though. We're taught that success is the goal. but I think it's time to redefine success. See, we're taught that these achievements are going to fill that void, is going to fill that hole inside. But it's not. What we're really chasing is validation. What we're chasing is safety, a sense of control. And I get it, because especially if you've grown up in like survival mode, doing feels much safer than being. I have about 20 years of experience in supporting really high level executives in corporate America, and I am really, really grateful for the experience. It has taught me so much. I have seen so many things. One thing has remained true across my experience, and that is no title, no amount of success is going to fix what you don't face. I have seen some of the most influential people in rooms run the hell out of a meeting and then turn around and talk to me privately about the ways that they are so misaligned at home. I started to realize that it wasn't just me. Here's the hard truth that people don't really talk about. No, we don't talk enough about how achievement can be a trauma response. Sometimes success is not a sign of fulfillment. It's a mask for our pain. You might be overworking to avoid sitting with yourself. You might be chasing approval because deep down you still don't quite feel worthy. You might be staying busy because rest feels unsafe. It feels like you haven't earned it yet. But success cannot fill the spaces that healing was meant to touch. You cannot achieve your way out of emptiness. And here's the thing, when you finally start to move in alignment with what is for your highest self, your mind, body, and spirit is probably going to rebel a little bit because you've been wired towards chaos, for over functioning, for over control. So when life slows down, when life starts to feel good, you might unintentionally try to sabotage it. And it's not because you're ungrateful. It's not because you don't want better. It's because your body has not caught up to your vision yet. That's why grace is so important in this process. And I know I've said it before. I hate the saying, give yourself some grace. I just feel like we overuse it, but I'm going to use it here. Give yourself some grace. These aren't just mindset patterns. These are survival strategies that your mind and body have created. They were never designed to make you happy. They were designed to keep you alive. But you're not trying to survive anymore. You are trying to live your best life. Anything that I'm saying to you is hitting. If you're nodding or you feeling attacked, I'm sorry. But I'm happy because recognition, being aware is kind of the first step. You're not crazy, you're just awakening. You're realizing that who you've had to be or who you thought you had to be is no longer who you want to be. And that is sacred. That journey is hard to do alone because the same mind that got you here can't always take you there. And what I mean by that is, this is where support matters. That's what coaching is for. And remove me from the equation. I say this as a woman who's been there. I have built myself from the ground up more than once. And every single time I've come back to the same truth, which is success will not save you, but self-awareness, emotional resilience, and inner alignment will. But the people around you, the support around you absolutely matters too. It's actually part of the process. You're going to have to make some cuts. And if you can't make cuts, you're going to create distance. You're going to have to look at parts of yourself that aren't so glamorous. Like I said, I was abusing food and alcohol for a period of my life. Coming to that realization was embarrassing, humbling, but pivotal. I did not want to be that person anymore, but I had to put to rest the version of Vanessa who was engaging in those behaviors. And along with putting the version of myself with those behaviors to rest, it was also a mindset too. It was a lot easier for me to distract myself with the next project than it was for me to face the fact that I was abusing food and alcohol. It was much easier for me to hyper focus on getting that one project so perfect than it was for me to step back and allow myself to rest, because that would mean that I might have to sit and be with my thoughts. Sometimes sabotage looks like success on the outside, but suffering on the inside. And most of the time, you're not doing it because you're lazy or unmotivated. You're doing it because your nervous system is so accustomed to staying in that chaos, in that stress, in that struggle, that your body, your mind, your spirit would much rather pick that bullshit than it would pick the peace, because the peace is unfamiliar. I've said it before, but our brains and our bodies are hardwired to stay in whatever is familiar for us, even if what is familiar is not for our highest benefit. And that's okay. I need you to ease up on yourself some. These patterns do not define you. These patterns were created to protect you, but they're not meant to lead you. They can change. You don't have to be in crisis to change your life. Sometimes the biggest shift happens when you really just recognize that you're unfulfilled. And I don't mean just your job. I mean within yourself. Like, who are you? If you were to take a step back and remove all of your titles, right? At work, within your social circles, right? Remove yourself as a mother, as a father, as a daughter, sister, cousin, friend, partner, girlfriend, whatever. As a CEO, as a VP, as a manager, whatever the titles are, if you were to strip all of them away from you, what's left? Who are you at the core? What are your passions? What drives you? What wakes you up in the morning? What do your standards and boundaries look like? What does your ideal life feel like? What does your nervous system feel like? What does communication within your relationships feel like? Because at the end of the day, the cars, the money, the houses, the relationships, all of that, none of that is going to matter if your internal world is chaotic, if you don't have the mind, body, spirit, nervous system to be able to truly accept them, to truly be able to be grateful for them, to truly be able to be present and experience them. I've learned that fulfillment is often quieter. It's peaceful. It's not always flashy. And because peace is so unfamiliar for so many of us, a lot of times it's going to feel uncomfortable. But it is more than safe to want more. It is more than okay to slow down and ask yourself, what do I really need? Are my choices in alignment with my highest self? Matter of fact, let's take a step back. Who is my highest self? What does my highest self look like? How do they dress? How do they feel? What do their relationships look like? What do they like to do? How do they communicate? How do they communicate to others? How do they communicate to themselves? And then ask yourself, are my habits, are my relationships, are my behaviors, are my ways of thinking, are the ways that I speak to myself, treat myself in alignment with my highest self? If you're listening to this right now and thinking, damn, she's talking to me, you don't have to keep white knuckling your way through life, okay? You do not have to wait for burnout to start your healing. You can begin now by getting honest with what is and is not working in your life. Start choosing differently. You have the power to do that. This is the part of your journey where it stops being about performing and it starts being about becoming. And if any of that sounds corny to you, then maybe you're not ready, and that's fine. But I'm telling you, your body's going to catch up to you. I hope it doesn't. If you're ready to do the deeper work, to build a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside, to align your outer life with your inner life, this is the work that I do with my clients every single day. I invite you to reach out and inquire about coaching. It can just be an intro conversation because success will not save you, but self-awareness, healing, and alignment will. That's all for today. As always, I am so grateful for your time. If this episode resonated for you, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Share it with somebody you love. Post it to your story, tag me. I don't know, you know, do all the social things. Until next time, peace.